Outdoors with Jason White, exploring the great outdoors in Pennsylvania and beyond. Brought to you by the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, the great outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I am Jason White. Welcome to the Great Outdoors. It's a pleasure to be here, and we finally got some much-needed rain, and it seems like the temperatures are going to cool off here, not only in southwestern Pennsylvania, but it seems like the entire Northeast is finally going to kick into fall. Not really sure, looking at the weather, if we're going to get the additional rain anytime soon, but certainly the rain that we did get was needed. It certainly helped out with the streams, and obviously anybody with any crops that actually need some water. But before I dive into the topics of today, I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors. You can join the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association today at marianaoutdoors.com. We have an early bird special currently going on. It is, if you join now, you get the remainder of the calendar year for free, and then you get all of 2026. That is a heck of a deal. 2.5 miles of private trophy trout fishing. Trout stockings begin this Friday at 8:30 a.m. and trout are stocked monthly all the way through the month of May. Upland bird hunting, pistol ranges, 1,000-yard rifle range, truly an amazing place, and we would love to have you. MarianaOutdoors.com. 10 Mile Creek Outfitters and Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're interested in booking an upland bird hunt, if you're interested in booking a trout fishing trip, free-range whitetail deer hunt, archery or rifle, spring turkey hunt, we can do all the above. We would really love to have you. We have lodging accommodations. If you're not interested in any of that, you can certainly come and book weddings. We have corporate events. We even host fundraisers. So if you're like an organization out there that needs to do a fundraiser and you're interested in something unique, we offer continental-style upland bird hunts, and it's a great fundraiser. It's very unique. Highly recommend it, considering it. You can go to our website, 10mileco.org. That is TENMILECO.org, or give us a call at 724-579-0924. And by all means, if you have a wedding that you're looking to have, either next year or the following, we'd love to have you for that. We have our event venue that we restored our barn. We have spaces for nice wedding tents. We have a lot of really good stuff. So again, check us out, 10mileco.org. Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds, 724-579-0924. And Washington County Tourism and Promotion Agency. Please visit Washington County, Pennsylvania. I have a couple things I wanted to go over today. One being, I wanted to highlight from the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau's perspective some of the, I would say, key regulations and laws that we had a big influence in helping to achieve this calendar year. So I wanted to share that with you, and I also wanted to kind of talk about a couple topics for the future, looking into next year. That being said, I want to dive into a bunch of the crop damage things that were huge accomplishments. So, number one, there is now an agriculture representative going to be appointed by the governor on the Pennsylvania Game Commission. That has been completed. That was part of Senate Bill. The combination of some of these are part of Senate Bill 518 and House Bill 1431. Looking ahead, though, I'll say this was an achievement, but this was only half of the policy. The other half of the policy states that we also recommend a person for the Fish Commission. So looking ahead, going to look to have that completed hopefully next year by a legislator. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So we're just trying to make sure, and why I say that about the Fish Commission, there's a lot of aquaculture facilities throughout the state, and it's very important that somebody on the Board of Commissioners certainly should be knowledgeable with co-ops, nurseries, hatcheries, etc. So it makes total and utter sense. And I just want to reiterate, that person does not have to be a Farm Bureau member. Simplified reporting for deer removal. It is now changed to report the kill within 24 hours as before. Now you can do online, toll-free number, or a web portal. Also, deer carcasses can now be taken directly to pre-approved processors instead of the Game Commission officer having to do that. Stronger penalties for trespass while hunting. It's now a summary offense of the second degree with license revocation up to a year. Repeat offenses with 7 years or misdemeanors with a 5-year hunting ban. Purple paint now equals no trespassing. Purple paint recognizes purple paint as a legal notice against entry. Sunday hunting obviously being passed in combination with numerous policies, and I just want to reiterate, our policy stated multiple policies, which would have been two or more. And the Sunday hunting package, ultimately, we ended up getting 9 policies. So certainly an unprecedented positive thing. Youth hunting expansion, there was changes. That was a regulation change. 4-tag limit removal from the ag tags and DMAP. That was a change. Those are regulation changes. Certified hunter pilot program, which is in Southwest PA. That was something that was discussed with some of the commissioners, Farm Bureau, partnerships, etc., and ultimately came into fruition here in Southwest PA as a pilot program. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's a really it's amazing opportunity to connect sportsmen with farmers to help address not only crop damages, but to manage wildlife as a whole, which is ultimately what, as good conservationists and as sportsmen, that's what we should be doing. So I'm excited to see that looking ahead, looking to see that expand statewide. I don't want to put the cart before the horse or speak on behalf of the Game Commission, but I'm really hopeful that that's going to end up being statewide next year. Fingers crossed. QR codes, another policy. QR codes has been announced that QR codes are going to be going on to the backs of hunting licenses. The technological side of things is a bit lacking when it comes to reporting and the entire system when it comes to the Game Commission compared to other states. So really excited to see where things are going to head there. It looks like it's going to be a really positive technological advancement compared to where we sit today. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to make everybody's lives easier, and I would say it's also going to give a lot better data. That being said, obviously one would hope that with better apps and systems and QR codes, etc., that we would be able to provide better information to the Game Commission as a whole to obviously better understand and manage wildlife, because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to manage wildlife through the mechanisms of conservation, hunting, and trapping. So we talked about, the fact that some of the goals is obviously one, we got to, for future goals, one is the Fish Commission rep, 2 being certified hunter expansion, 3 being, let's see here to give you some others that I didn't speak of, baiting for ag tags. Why I say that, ag tags currently in southeastern Pennsylvania is currently permitted to use bait for ag tags. So the concept is here that we're trying to get the bait to be utilized other portions of the state for the purposes of ag tags. So really hopeful that could be expanded. That's a regulation and something I'm really pushing for. There's a lot of other conversations taking place, capacities of game lands management, spending of money. That's something pretty near and dear to me personally. I appreciate the Game Commission investing into the ranges at the game lands, but I want to say this with an asterisk next to it. I don't wholeheartedly agree with that premise on a personal note. And why I say that, to do hunting classes, hunter-trapper education, the Game Commission has to partner with hunting clubs. Those are community assets. Those organizations do a lot for the community. And to me, that is where the bulk of the investment needs to go into if you're going to talk about ranges. I understand that the Game Commission started a range grant program, but it's only applicable for each region of the state. 1 grant per year. It's a drop in a bucket. Where it's been way too long that is been the case, and I think that there needs to be a change of perception. But what I'm trying to get to here is most people shoot their firearms at hunting clubs. This is fact. Yeah, I understand the concept of having a 100-yard range at a game lands or something very kind of small, but the amount of money I'm seeing without seeing dollars and cents and specifics, astronomical amounts of money are being invested into these ranges, which ultimately is a detriment to the clubs because, obviously they generate money off of memberships. And I can't really say that I'm a big proponent of the Game Commission and creating all these ranges, all these elaborate things that I know from experience. You have to man it. Once it's built, the work has just begun. What's the insurance cost? What's the maintenance cost? And what is the maintenance? What's the overarching maintenance? How often you got to go back and stain the wood? How often you got to go back and do sign updates? How often you got to cut grass? So to just simply say, oh, we're going to invest all this money into these ranges or whatnot. I understand the concept of ranges at game lands. I get it. I understand the concept of having a place to sight your rifle in at 100 yards. I do, but that being said, I whether anybody agrees or disagrees with me, I feel very adamantly that the Game Commission partners with hunting clubs to provide hunter trapper education. Even now with the certified hunter, they're having to go out to the club's ranges to sight in so you could just become a certified hunter. That's where the investment needs to go. When I talk about ranges, I'm not saying we don't need ranges at the game lands. Please don't take it the wrong way. We do. But I think we're making a bad mistake because what's going to end up happening is a lot of that stuff either is not going to get used or it's going to become a financial burden because you're creating something that you now have to pay for insurance. Additional, I'd love to see where the insurance premiums went because they had to have increased because a lot of that stuff did not exist before. They put a lot of new stuff in, which has to obviously then go on once you start putting up new structures and facilities and with ranges because I deal with it. The insurance policy has to be astronomical. So, point being here, I don't have a problem with investing into ranges on public land. I do have a problem with what I'm seeing, though, and to the extreme creation of things that I think are directly undermining hunting clubs, and that's where the bulk of that type of investment should be going. I firmly believe that. I would go on a hill and die for that argument. Or that it's not even an argument, it's a discussion. Why? Because I've created ranges. I've created indoor ranges. I've created outdoor ranges. I understand the mechanisms of what things cost and more importantly, what the insurance and the maintenance is. And you can create all these things on these game lands, but not only who's insurance, what's the cost for insurance and maintenance, who's overseeing it? You just cannot allow all these people to just come and go and think that it's going to, sooner or later, you're not going to have problems. I mean, we have problems right now on game lands where people get peppered down at the upland bird hunting spaces because you have too many people. Too many people, which then correlates to unsafe hunting practices. So it's I just feel that there's a lot of issues that need to be well thought out before you just dump or spend money rather without seeing the full maximum return and understanding your hunting clubs are an asset. You need your hunting clubs for hunter trapper ed and for those ranges. So to me, again, it stresses the fact and the need to utilize those resources and those partnerships. And not everybody can do raffle ticket sales and spaghetti dinners and cookie sales to fun hunting clubs. So, I think we need to like just wake up to the realities that things cost money. There's maintenance costs, and there's management necessary with ranges. You just can't have these things and not have good management. So I just want to highlight on that because it's something I think from my own business background and clubs, etc. The clubs are an asset. They're a resource, and it's something we need to acknowledge, highlight, and I think the more that they can invest into clubs, the better. And somebody might say, "Whoa, he's saying that because he's got a club." You might feel that way. That's fine. It's not going to change my opinion at all. Being that I've seen it, done it, experienced it, I know what things cost and how you have to have good management with any type of gun ranges, or for that matter, any type of hunting areas, including game lands, which is, I think that, there's even discussions in the future about access area improvements, and there's discussions about sign-in boards. So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see, but a lot for us to look forward to next year. Looking forward to the conversations with the Game Commission to see kind of where these regulation changes or suggestions go. But time will tell. I want to dive into something politically that's a local state rep's legislation, and that is State Representative Charity Krupa. Hopefully I can get her to come on with me sometime soon, but I wanted to discuss House Bill 1884. If ever there was a piece of legislation that I felt was, how would I describe it to you? An asset, a slam dunk proposition. Representative Krupa introduced House Bill 1884 for the 2025-2026 session. The memo title is Modernizing the Chapter 105 General Permit Process. I've talked about this on past episodes, but I want to dive into it again because it is so important. It affects each and every person in the state of Pennsylvania in some way, shape, or form. So her legislation, the way it drafts is, number one, the Department of Environmental Protection would be required to establish a working group in each region to directly give input to the DEP for the modernization process. So the question being is well, Jason, what do they do now, or how does it operate, or why would they do that? Well, I can give you a simple answer to that. The way that it goes right now is every 3 years, there's an automatic required review for permitting improvements. The problem being under the Chapter 105 program. The problem is the way it works right now, you basically submit public comments. So take a sheet of paper and any group can basically put on paper, hey, these are our recommendations. That does not work. It does not work. These are complex discussions. Permitting is not an easy thing to dive into. These are the types of conversations to where a group of knowledgeable people needs to be literally region to region set up to be a working group. And I'm talking down to the nuts and bolts of, hey, how does the computer screen flow when we're setting this up? And what's it look like? And how is it functional? And, working through every capacity. So right out of the gate, having a good elbow grease style working groups is huge because you get that knowledge and expertise region to region, and there's direct involvement. It's not just somebody submitting a piece of paper with suggestions and somebody basically wiping their rear with it and not even acknowledging it exists. So that's why this is such an important piece right out of the gate. Number two, it would combine the PNDI application process. And that is the step one for right now for doing a Chapter 105 permit. Basically would modernize the computer database. So right now, the DEP is using the DOS system from circa 1994. for its permitting process under Chapter 105. Because that technology is so archaic and outdated, we do not have the ability to modernize the way we need to. So the second piece of the puzzle is the computer system has to be updated to be modernized and to have the modernized tools that we necessarily would need and that would be critical for us to make this work properly. So working group, updating the computer system. From there, you're diving into all the nuts and bolts of what that would entail. So you're talking PNDI being part of the computer system, being able to click on a map and automatically the county, the municipality, the longitude, latitude, the addresses, all would automatically populate of where it is. You should be able to have click buttons that would say what you're doing. There should be dialog boxes of what are you doing and where are you doing it. There should be, for example, say you're going to do a cattle crossing. You're a farmer and you want to do a cattle crossing. Well, okay, I want to do that general permit, and okay, there's a drop down, and here's all these different options. Option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I click on that option, it should give me all the specs on it. Approximate sizes. There should be different views. There should even be before and after pictures from where those projects had been successfully completed in the past. So somebody could actually look at it and say, "Oh, okay, I know what that I'm supposed to do. That's what I want to do." Okay, that's a problem. So, but it's an opportunity. It's a solution. So ultimately, you would go through this computer system, and at the very end, it would have an opportunity for payment, and you would ultimately hit enter, submit. But what I want to be very critical about, and why this is so important, these working groups would be basically trying to go and get drawings, schematics, projects, etc., to build all of this region to region, bring it all in, boom. So then you're creating like this database with all of this. We're going to call it pre-approved processes. So basically, these are standard operating procedures for these approved projects, which everybody, including the department and the other agencies, would review. This would then allow you at the end, when you hit submit, two things would happen. Number one, you would get a full bore emailed copy back to you of the permit, all the pieces and parts, the receipt of payment. That's number one, which does not exist today. That alone does not happen. You get like an approval letter and that's it. This would give you everything, your entire application, all the components. You would get a receipt with the full shebang. Does not exist today, which I think is extremely critical. Number two, all the appropriate agencies would get notified via email, which is another piece of this whole situation. Now, you're going to ask, well, why is this so important? Well, this is so important because it takes today, and I probably couldn't count on my fingers and toes the amount of people that I know that have had permitting issues. And when I say permitting issues, for example, I mentioned about in the past, I've talked about cattle crossings. I've talked about culvert pipes. Somebody has a driveway to a farm. I'll just use that example. I know a gentleman from Center County. Took him 6 months to be allowed to replace the culvert pipe just going into his driveway so he could get to his house. So for nearly 6 months, because he had a deteriorated culvert pipe, he had to park on one side of the culvert and then basically walk over where he could to get to his house. That is absurd. That is absurd. These are projects that the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection has full and utter discretion to technologically have them standardized, have the process standardized, have a simplified process. And here's the big kicker. You are still getting approval. The approvals, though, are being done in advance because the processes, the mechanisms, all your due diligence is being done in advance to build a system, to have all the approved schematics, and even, I didn't mention this, your erosion and sediment control plans, which in many counties are a separate piece of the puzzle. That would no longer be needed. We would do a situation to where that would be completely and utterly automated. That, again, whenever you get your approval at the end, that would be part of it. None of this today, the way we're describing it, is smooth and is simple. It does not exist. And I always hear about, permitting's a problem. Permitting's a problem. Permitting's a problem. Permitting's a problem. The thing I want to stress to each and every one of you is Chapter 105 general permits are the foundation of the house. If we do not fix that problem, the rest of the system will never be ultimately as functional as it could or should be. To know that we have a computer system from circa 1994 is mind-boggling to me. Absolutely and utterly mind-boggling. The fact that we live in a world where there's constantly new apps being created every day on people's cell phones. There's tremendous property maps, things like such as Onyx Hunt app. So many different viable opportunities. But if we do not technologically not only get where we modernize with the times, but also get qualified people that understand these processes to be involved in these work groups, just given a piece of paper and handing it for public comment, I can tell you, is part of how we got where we are. Because you have to have people that know and understand a process, that can walk through, hey, step by step by step by step, what's going to happen, how are we going to do it, and progressively walking through it. I'm really thankful to Representative Krupa because of all the pieces of legislation that I've seen and I've heard and that have been discussed. This is the first one that I would go on a hill to battle for, because I feel when it comes to permitting, the DEP, this is the first piece that is, I don't want to call it a slam dunk, but this is certainly, to me, amazing. For her to work with folks and come up with this and to walk through the process, that's what we've needed. That's what's been lacking. The idea of trying to speed up permits, and the ideas of trying to more oversight and trying to follow up on things. Are there going to be other things that need to be done legislatively on the back end? Probably. I'm not going to say that there won't be things that need to be done. Do I feel that inspectors need to get more training? Yes, I do. Do I think inspectors need to have more hands-on training? Yes, I do. Do I think inspectors should probably go out onto a work site and actually, learn what it is to see an excavator install a culvert pipe, or to understand that, sometimes these things aren't just black and white? Yes, I do. Do I think the DEP has a problem retaining employees and maybe with proper pay? Yes, I do. But what this system will allow is the time that has been wasted with unqualified and people that are not knowledgeable to even be looking at these permits. It removes that process. That process then goes to knowledgeable people that have an expertise that can help develop this, establish pre-approvals, to where the focus for the employees then can be out in the field. It can be knowing what they're looking at. I mean, I'll give you the example of coal mining. The inspectors for a coal mine worked in the field for so many years. Typically, it's usually 10 or more before they're allowed to be an inspector. And They have a rigorous training program that they have to go through, whether that be at the state or whether that be federally. And when they go out, they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking at. They know what they're doing. Am I going to say that every one of them are perfect? No. Are there people that probably know more than others? Absolutely. Are there people that probably write citations when they shouldn't? Yeah, I guarantee that happens too. But the goal here is to address the foundation of the house, to establish a transparent process with knowledgeable people that is streamlined. And when you hit submit at the end of the day, you can start working. You'll have everybody would be properly notified. You obviously can't go and do something that you're not permitted to do. So like, yeah, if you're putting in a culvert pipe and then you decide all of a sudden, I don't know, that you're going to put in 6 cattle crossings but not do the culvert pipe. Well, yeah, of course, you didn't notify that you were going to do that. So, it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's common sense, but ultimately we're trying to just get this to a premise that is simplified, it's easy, it's with today's technology. And I just want to, again, applaud Representative Charity Krupa from Fayette County. This House Bill 1884, please go and look it up, anybody. I think it's a game changer. It's going to change the ball game for farmers, for developers, sportsmen, people that have hunting camps. I know a lot of people that deal with culvert pipes. So when you talk about a lot of conservation projects, Fish Commission, I firmly feel absolutely the Fish Commission should not be reviewing these general permits. They are absolutely should not be involved in that. Should they give input to drawings, or should they be part of that development process? 1,000,000%. They should be part of the working groups. Should they be reviewing? Absolutely not. That is literally, they are reviewing projects for themselves and then going out and doing projects. And then there's been cases where they didn't follow their permits. So the DEP isn't going out and doing construction. So yes, if you are doing construction, you should not be approving your own permits. And furthermore, the people that are involved with permit reviews, this is the whole problem. You have people that are reviewing the processes, don't understand the rules, don't understand the laws. And that's how you've gotten into this quagmire of things taking 6 months. So through all of this, when they talk about cutting the red tape, I mean, this legislation is like, I can't speak any more highly of a piece of legislation that I've seen. And for her, being Representative Krupa, to do this, I just want everybody to understand how monumental it is, how important it is. Let's talk about the politics, though, because I think we probably have to, right? We have a split House and a split Senate. House being Democrat, Senate being Republican, governor's a Democrat. Governor keeps talking about permitting, which I'm appreciative that that's a conversation. But this is not a talking conversation. This is a doing style conversation. That's what this legislation is. This isn't a paper tiger. This isn't a false promise or a false premise. This is a legit thing that can impact every person, despite their political view, despite their age, their ethnicity, their color, gender, etc. This is good for each and every person in the state of Pennsylvania. Does it hold the bureaucracy accountable? 1,000,000%. But that's what it should be. That's what it should have been done a long time ago. And that's sadly where we are, is that there are laws on the books today. I just want to stress this. The DEP and the executive branch have full discretion to resolve these problems. But this is what happens when you don't have appropriate checks and balances, and when you just continue to allow bureaucracy to govern itself and to not have enough input and oversight. And what Representative Krupa is doing here is creating a mechanism that lays out a path, a plan for success. And, you know, that's ultimately, I think, what has been lacking legislatively. And I know the legislature's been saying for years they wanted to get the DEP to resolve their problems, etc. I just want to reiterate again and again, House Bill 1884 is a gargantuan solution. You talk about a dam that's leaking. This is literally like bringing in the army to build the Hoover Dam and doing an amazing job. And that's basically what she's doing. This is not a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. A lot of other pieces of legislation that have either passed or I would even say have been suggested or discussed do not resolve the root of the problem. This is addressing so many faults and failures with our current system. And this is, again, I want to stress the fact that it does not matter if you live in a rural area or if you live in a downtown city. These permits are applicable to many, many, many different projects. Those even in utility companies, etc., habitat improvement, agriculture, riparian buffer zone type projects, gravel bar removal if you're somebody that's dealing with flooding. There's just a lot of things that need to be addressed here. And I am extremely appreciative as a resident of Pennsylvania for her leadership to pursue this. Politically, where it goes from here clearly is going to be a very telling scenario. Like I said, you have a divided House and Senate. Will they compromise? Will there be bipartisan push? My answer is that it should be undoubtedly and emphatically a yes. If politicians want to truly achieve good things, if they want to achieve permitting reform that is talked about and discussed, everybody should be on board with this legislation. Let's talk about cost. Cost, I don't really know. Because you have a system that's from circa 1994, hasn't been updated in approximately 30 years. How that ever happened, I have no idea. Why it happened, I guess it's irrelevant now. But to get, when we talk about state budget and whatnot, this is something clearly that I would think everybody would be supportive of, to get the database and to get the system updated properly and to have everything working effectively and efficiently. So, that's a conversation I think most even conservatives would be open to, is like, hey, if money's being well spent that to make the government run more effectively and efficiently, then, you got to spend money to make money. So we'll see. I would highly encourage anybody out there, even just letting Representative Krupa know that you support her legislation, or for that matter, letting other elected officials know that you support that legislation. Again, it's House Bill 1884 for the 2025-2026 session, modernizing the Chapter 105 permitting process. I want to, again, thank her for her leadership. I'd like to thank everybody, actually, that's been involved in this thought process and idea, because this is not something that it has to be a very, very, very well-defined plan. It has to be a very, very well-defined piece of legislation. And you have to have knowledgeable people directly involved from start to finish to make it a success story. If you do not, you end up in this bureaucratic 30-year quagmire to where things have not been updated, processes have not been fine-tuned. And it takes you 6 months to get a permit from people that might not even know what they're looking at, or may not have gotten proper training, or whatever the comments, concerns, issues may be, ultimately, just know we can do much better, and it requires all of us coming together in a bipartisan manner to get pieces like legislation across the finish line and getting everybody to actually work together instead of, I would say, holding society back. So again, I'm thankful for her, and hopefully I'll be able to have her come on and talk about that. But I want to, again, thank our sponsors, Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join today at marianaoutdoors.com. Wild Acres Hunting Preserve. If you're looking to book an upland bird hunt, love to have you. Fundraising events, continental style pheasant hunts, great fundraisers for different styles of organizations, guided fishing trips, guided deer and turkey hunts. We'd love to have you. 10milesco.org. If you have a wedding scheduled in the upcoming years, check us out. We got a great barn venue, lodge. We got a lot of space for wedding tents, etc. So I think you'd really like it. 10milesco.org, or give us a call at 724-579-0924. Forgot to mention this earlier, and I kind of want to highlight it. Tomorrow is the first of many Mariana Outdoorsman Association trout stockings. That'll take place Friday at 8:30 a.m. Additionally, the MOA tag contest starts same time, and it runs all the way through April. Information on that is available at marianaoutdoors.com and also at Mariana Outdoorsman Association of Facebook. You can go into our events and see it. This Saturday at 10 a.m. from 10 to 12, there'll be an open house at the Mariana Outdoorsman Association, 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. And then just looking ahead, we will have a trout stocking in November. There's also another open house listed on our Facebook and website. And then we have trout stockings every month all the way through May. We also have March the 7th. There will be a one-day fly fishing tournament. We have a Sportsman's Bash March 28th at 19 North Event Venue in Washington, PA. And then we have our 2.5, 3-day third annual PA Trout Classic, which is May 1st through the 3rd. So we got a lot of really fun things going on, which I have more events to publish also, continental pheasant hunts, so on and so forth. So I'm really excited. But I thank you all for listening. Please follow up about that legislation, House Bill 1884. And this is Jason White. It's been the Great Outdoors, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you, and have a great weekend.